All right, this second lecture is going to talk about pricing tactics and some terminology. So pricing is important in a company because you obviously you're not launching products in a vacuum. You are competing against other brands, so competitors' price certainly is a big factor. And can you make the product profitable at the price you're at is certainly a factor. And a small change in pricing can have big results. I'll give you just one quick example. When I was at Jack in the Box, we were evaluating how to margin improve products, which means we didn't have any new products to launch at the time, but we wanted to increase sales and try to squeeze some more profit out of our current product line. And so we looked at a product that we sold a lot of, and that was our two tacos for 99 cents, because it's 2 a.m. and it's never too late to make one more bad decision. I'm just kidding, but really, those tacos, they're deep fried. So we looked at the tacos and we thought, we're putting, if you take a full slice of Velveeta cheese and cut it in half, you put half that slice in one taco and half the slice in the other, and you got to open up the taco and it's boiling hot because it was deep fried, and you put in that slice of cheese, and as soon as you do, it melts. So we were evaluating the tacos, and in one of our meetings, somebody said, nobody even really realizes that there's any cheese in those tacos. What if we just stop putting the cheese in the tacos? That would save us about a penny a taco, and that translated to over $1 million in incremental profit for the company. When you have a lot of stores and a lot of volume on a product, just small little changes can end up with big numbers of additional profit. So we looked at that. The problem we had was that our marquee signs, which are the big pole signs that are standing outside the Jack in the Box restaurants, there's not as many of them anymore, but these are old signs that have been around since they built these restaurants, many of them in the 50s and the 60s. And there's a big marquee backlit picture at the top of those signs, and it's a picture of two tacos for 99 cents. And on that picture, you see the two tacos, and brimming out of the edge of the tacos is a slice of cheese. So we had a problem that we had to maintain truth in advertising, and we couldn't just sell the tacos without cheese, even though you couldn't really tell the cheese was in there anyways. So what we decided to do was take that full slice of Velveeta cheese, we cut in half, and half goes in one taco and half goes in the other, and let's take that full slice of cheese and cut it into fourths. And then each taco would now get a quarter slice, so just a little bit of the cheese would still tuck out of the taco before it melted. We're satisfying our advertising because we didn't say how much cheese is in the taco. Just that it has cheese. So that added $1 million to our bottom line. So, but we kept the price at 99 cents. So little tweaks in pricing and little tweaks in margin can end up with big numbers on margin improvement. So let's talk about some of the common pricing strategies. You have some learning objectives here. Know the different pricing strategies that I cover, and then I'm also going to talk about the break-even formula. Here we go. So you see 6 different pricing tactics here. The first pricing term that I want to talk about is reference price. So reference price is simply what customers expect to pay for something. It's kind of like the price is right. So if I said gallon of gas, you're all going to say, well, in the summer it goes up more, but somewhere around $3.50 a gallon. It's not going to be $1.50, unfortunately, and you certainly wouldn't want to pay $5 a gallon, right? So reference price is what people expect to pay. Now this is important, especially when you're launching new products. And in my consumer behavior lecture, I talked about evoke set and product categories and how people place your product mentally against other competing products. So when I was running the breakfast category at Jack in the Box, we had tested a product called the ciabatta breakfast sandwich. And this product went through the roof in the market test. People absolutely loved it. Not to make you crazy hungry right now, but it was on ciabatta bread, and it had applewood bacon, and a sirloin burger and 2 slices of cheese and hollandaise sauce. It was massive. It was fat and calorie laden, and people loved it. The problem was that it was expensive to make because of those ingredients in the hollandaise sauce. So we had a breakfast sandwich that was coming in at around $5 a la carte, and upwards of $7+ on a combo, whereas the other breakfast sandwiches were down in the $3 range a la carte, and about $5 for a combo depending upon the size. So it was a full $2 higher. So in the product test, people loved it, said they would absolutely go to buy it. But when we actually put it on the menu and started market testing, sales were not what we expected. And the problem was really reference price. So you had a breakfast product that was significantly more expensive than other products in the breakfast category, and customers were expecting to pay around that $5 number for a breakfast sandwich. So even though it was much bigger, what it was really competing against was lunch products from a size standpoint. But so we ended up having to make the product considerably smaller because there was a reference price issue. Some companies do interesting things to get people out of their frame of reference price. If you look at a company like Starbucks, when you walk in to get a cup of coffee, we used to get a cup of coffee and your choices were, I want a small, a medium, or a large. And as we know, beverages have now come up with their whole new lingo of sizing options. And Starbucks was brilliant about this. When you go into a Starbucks, there is no small, there's a tall and a venti and a grande. So, these are these different sizes. It's taking out of our reference point, and then it's also, you can customize this coffee like crazy. Do you want a tall, flat white, no whip, double pump, whatever kind of drink? I guess it's $8. I don't know. It's Starbucks, right? So by changing the pricing and the terms, they've actually kind of erased your reference price, so you don't have anything to kind of compare against what you should be paying for this cup of coffee. So that's reference price. We all have, and marketers have to take that into consideration. So reference price is driven primarily by competitors' pricing. Another pricing strategy is leader and bait pricing. And these are different. And you're probably thinking, oh, bait and switch, that's evil when companies do that. And bait and switch actually is not legal, but leader and bait pricing is. So let me clarify what each of these are. Leader pricing is when you go to a store and you see they have something advertised that's a commonly purchased item. Maybe it's a gallon of milk for a nickel. I'm exaggerating, but a gallon of milk for a really low price. And with leader pricing, the intent of the company that's marketing this leader price is to get you into the store. So they also call these loss leaders or doorbusters. Let's get you into the store with a commonly purchased item at a rock bottom price. And our hopes are that once we get you into the store, that you are going to buy some other things. And those other things aren't on a loss leader pricing structure. We see this a lot during Thanksgiving. So, there's a frozen item that is central to a lot of Thanksgiving meals that a lot of grocery stores tend to put on a loss leader pricing. And you can probably guess what that is: frozen turkeys, right? So they'll advertise a very low price on turkeys, and you come in and obviously they're hoping that you're going to buy the other stuff as well while you're in the store. So that's leader pricing. The intent, get you in the store. Bait pricing is advertising a low-priced item and hoping to get you into the retail location, and at that point they want to trade you up to something more expensive. So it's not about just driving traffic, which is a leader pricing strategy, but with bait pricing, oftentimes there's salespeople, like auto dealers are known for doing this. Here's a stripped down version of this car, the Toyota Camry, for X amount. It doesn't have really many features. And then you come in and they're going to try to actually upsell you to something more expensive. Consumer electronics stores, same thing. Like, here's a flat screen TV for a ridiculously low price. and they're going to try to trade you up to something more expensive once they get you into the store. So bait pricing is used oftentimes with salespeople. We also use this strategy at Jack in the Box when I was there. So you would see a leader price facing out to the street that would say something like 2 tacos for 99 cents. And you know, you hit the brakes as you're driving past, and surely I can find 99 cents in the cushions of my seats. And you pull over and you get in the drive-through to get those 2 tacos for 99 cents. But then as you're in the drive-through lane, you're also seeing posters in the windows for "Don't forget the cheesecake" and "Wouldn't you like a chocolate milkshake?" And they're trying to bait you to upsell you to buy more things. So upselling is kind of a part of bait pricing strategies as well. So that's leader and bait. Those are fine. Those are legal. Bait and switch, where they never even had the product in stock and they were really just advertising something that they did not have in stock. It's not technical, you know, it's not legal, and it's also bad business. Businesses do less of this now because with Yelp and all the online review sites, you know, it's very quickly that bad business practices get advertised and communicated out through social media. Another common pricing strategy is odd-even pricing. Odd-even pricing is something along the lines of $99.95. So mentally, it's under $100. Or you bought a car and it was listed at, you know, $10,998. Excludes tax and licensing and overcoating and undercoating fee, right? And by the time you get out of there, it's more like $12,000, and if you financed it, it's closer to $15,000. But you can go home and tell the rest of your family, like, I got this car for, you know, under $11,000. Odd even pricing. Price lining is when you set one price for a whole category of products. This is very common in fast food with their value menus. So we all know that value menus are, you know, 99 cents or a dollar menu if you're at McDonald's. But you can go into Home Depot and see power tools. They have like good, better, best, you know, home improvement, middle grade, and then contractor grade, right? So, and those jigsaws and other products will have different pricing structures for the different quality lines of those products. There's even price lining stores, like a 99-cent store, where everything in the store is set at that price. So a price line is everything set at one price. Demand backward pricing is really a cost structure starting point for setting your pricing. So when I was telling you earlier about the ciabatta breakfast sandwich, we had this big expensive sandwich. People loved it, but when it came time to actually pay for it and market test, the reference price was causing problems and people didn't want to spend that much money for the sandwich. So we had to move to a demand backward pricing, which means, you know, we have to sell it at this price, this reference price. We can't really go above this because this is what people expect to pay, or this is what all our competitors are charging for this product. So that's the price we can charge. That's the demand, in other words, that it demands this type of price for this product. So we're going to have to work backwards and figure out how to make it at a cost structure where we can still get our profit margin that we need. You know, oftentimes that's a 50% profit margin. So demand backwards is really, here's the price, the price is already set by the marketplace, reference price, competitor price, and working backwards to figure out how to make it profitably. And then the last price is prestige pricing. And prestige pricing is your product is a high price because it is considered a prestigious luxury good type product. So, you know, for example, Coach handbags and Louis Vuitton stuff, although Louis Vuitton nowadays, and not that I buy that stuff, but also something like Tiffany's jewelers, right? So, you know, that blue box, and I showed that on the very first slide. The proposer brings home an engagement ring, and it's in a blue box from Tiffany's. And, oh, he bought a ring from Tiffany's, which signals it's prestigious, right? So Rolex watches, etc. When you have a product that you're selling that has a prestigious price point, the worst thing you can do as a marketer when sales are down is drop price. So what you're saying there is, we're actually charging a whole lot and we could charge less and still make a profit. Once you drop price, you drop the prestige of the product. The high price is part of the perceived value and prestige of the product. So when sales are down on luxury products, you don't want to just straight up drop price to try to get more competitive, because now you've lowered the bar that people are willing to pay, and you've also damaged the perceived prestige of your brand itself, and you can't get that back. But you could do temporary price reductions, or you could make the product smaller, or you could bundle it with some other stuff, but you don't just want to flat out drop price when you have a prestige product. This can be tricky if you're in a market that has a recession going on. You might have to go to different parts of the world to sell your products there, but you don't want to just drop price on prestige pricing products. Consider something like Cristal vodka. It's one of, I don't drink, but I believe Cristal vodka is one of the more expensive vodkas out there, and people drink it like, when I party, I like to drink Cristal. Why? Because it's the best. Why is it the best? Well, it's the most expensive. It's just the best. It tastes the best. Really, because tests after tests show that people can't tell one vodka brand from another. Think about vodka. It's essentially odorless. It's tasteless, other than it tastes like vodka, but they all taste like vodka. So it's odorless, it's tasteless, it's colorless. People can't distinguish one brand from another, and yet there's all these different types of vodkas with all different price points. So that's a little bit on pricing. So understand those different terms and the next piece I want to cover is break even. So break even is really a financial tool. You'll get this more like in an accounting class or in an intro to business class. But break even, and you've probably heard the term, we broke even. Break even means we didn't lose any money, we didn't make any money. And from a business standpoint, that's terrible. You don't want to work all day and not make any money. You want to make some money. So breaking even isn't okay. It's actually meaning you worked for free. So, this can come up if you're a contractor and you're bidding on a job. You're trying to figure out, what's the price where I can make my profit, not just break even, but make some profit and get paid for my time as well. So we talk about break even in this pricing lecture because price is one of the components of the break even formula. So let's look at the actual break even formula. And again, you see here in this graph, before I advance to the next slide, break even is where your total revenue equals your total cost. So revenue equals cost. And you're right at that point. Anything less than that, you're losing money. Once you go over that, you start making money. So the break even formula is simply fixed costs divided by price per unit of whatever you're selling minus the variable costs per unit of what you're selling. Price minus variable cost is what we call the contribution margin, and that just means, if you're selling, say you're selling t-shirts, and say you're selling these t-shirts at $10 a piece. That might be a little bit above, the cheapest t-shirts you can get. So maybe it's a premium t-shirt, but maybe you're selling it at 10 bucks a t-shirt, and your variable costs are $5 per t-shirt. And variable costs would include things like your cost of goods sold. So maybe it costs you $4 to, each shirt costs about $4 to actually get the blank shirt. And maybe there's another $1 in commissions you pay to a salesperson. So each time that they sell a shirt, they're making $1 on that sale. So variable costs are tied to each widget that you sell. So you sell them for 10, your variable costs are 5, you're making $5 of contribution of profit, gross profit, towards your fixed costs. So your fixed costs on the top there, as the name says, are fixed. So let's assume you're actually thinking, what, I've got these cool t-shirts that I want to sell at Mira Costa. I'm wondering if they'll let me rent some quad space, out in the common area by the clock tower there, and have a table and set up my shirts. And the college I was at before allowed vendors to do this. I don't know if they do this at Mira Costa, but you're selling those shirts and you contact Mira Costa and they tell you, okay, it's $100 a day. It's $100 a day to put a table out in our common area and sell your products. When do you want to be here? And you're being a smart business person, Monday through Thursday, the key days when students are most likely there. Okay, so you're going to do it for 1 week. That's $400. $400 or $100 a day. And you know that your price is 10, your variable costs are 5. You're going to make it's $5 towards that fixed cost for each shirt. So the question you'd be asking yourself is, how many shirts do I need to sell to make even, given that this fixed cost is $100 a day? It's just like your rent. If you're renting your own place, you know that the landlord doesn't care if you lost your job or not. The rent is still due. It's a fixed cost. So in this case, Mira Costa is the landlord giving you this table space. You know that it's $100 a day over 4 days. It's $400 total. Your price of 10 less your variable costs of 5, you're making 5. You can apply $5 towards that fixed cost, and 400 divided by 5 would be 80. So you would know that you would have to sell 80 shirts over a 4-day period to break even. So that's 20 shirts a day over a 4-day period, right? So the next question you would ask yourself is, can I sell 20 shirts a day? Well, you'd have to do some analysis on where else have I sold these shirts. I've sold them at the swap meet, and I sold on my best day, I only sold 15. I talked to a friend who sold jewelry at Mira Costa, and she sold about 30 units a day. So you have to kind of get some idea of what you expect to sell. And break even is handy because you want to do your break even analysis before you commit to a fixed cost, right? So if you knew, for example, that best case scenario, you're probably not going to sell more than 15 shirts a day, which would give you 60 shirts total. You know that you need to sell 80 to break even if you have a price of 10 and variable cost of 5. So you'd probably go back to Mira Costa and say, no thanks. I can't break even based on that cost structure. So what can you do in that situation? Well, you can see your variables there. On your numerator, you have fixed costs, and on your denominator, you have price minus variable costs. And you can improve these to get your break-even numbers to work. You could try to negotiate lower fixed costs. Would you be willing to give me the table for $50 a day? So now, $50 a day times 4, you only have $200 in fixed costs, right? So you only need to sell 40 shirts. So that changes things if you can negotiate a lower number. But what if Mira Costa isn't willing to play ball? Nope, it's $100. We charge that to everybody, standard price. Well, then you have to look at your other items on the denominator there. Price. You could increase price, right? So increased price is going to make your contribution margin higher. You might sell less though, right, when you have a higher price, or you could try to reduce your variable costs. So I mentioned that in this scenario, we're thinking the price of the shirt's $10, our variable costs are $5. What if you could get your variable costs down another $1? Maybe you don't use that salesperson who gets $1 a shirt. You work the table yourself. So now you're selling them for 10. But your variable costs are only 4. You're making $6 a shirt, right? And you can run those numbers and see how many you would need to break even there. So bottom line, break even, a simple formula, but a valuable tool for you to use before you dive into maybe a marketing event or a sponsorship or something where you're going to have to outlay some fixed cost money towards something, and you're trying to sell product at that event, to see if it even makes sense, to see if you can even break even. Now, another trick you can do with break even is you can add your profit that you want to get. So maybe with these shirts, you're like, I want to make 20 bucks a day in profit. You would add that to the fixed cost. It's your fixed cost plus the profit on the top, and then that'll tell you how much now you need to sell to actually get not only your fixed costs covered so you can break even, but also meet your profit numbers. So you might be asked to run a few break-even numbers in this week's assignments. Okay, that's it on the second pricing lecture. Thank you so much for listening. You can see your assignments for this week. Thank you, and as always, email me if you have any questions.